Chetha. I am Dr. Una's daughter, 17 years old, and the head of the EntreMD merch division. You can go to www.entremd.com/merch to get your merch today, or you can scan the QR code that's on the top of the screen. And today I get to interview one of my favorite doctors that are inside of the business school. Today we have Dr. Monica with us. So can you introduce yourself, and then we're going to get started?
Yeah, thanks, Chetta, for having me today. I am Dr. Monica Minjeur. I am a restorative reproductive medicine physician in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I am the CEO and founder of Radiant Clinic. And we are a women's health clinic that helps women to restore natural menstrual cycles, to improve their health, and to promote fertility. So I'm so glad to be chatting with you today.
That's amazing. So I've never heard that term before ever in my life, and it was kind of long, so I can't even repeat it. So could you explain? That's not one of the questions I had, but could you please explain what that is, like what you do?
Yes, yes. So restorative reproductive medicine is a field of medicine. It's been around for about 25 years, so it is kind of newer
Kind of
to
new.
most people.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but basically, what we do is that we focus on helping women to understand what's going on with their menstrual cycles, to help deal with any symptoms or side effects that they may be having when it comes to those, and to help them to balance their hormones in a way that works with their body, so that they can manage those cycles a little bit better. And then the other piece of that comes along with women who are maybe trying to get pregnant and are struggling with infertility. We help them in order to understand what's going on with their cycles, heal their hormones, and be able to conceive naturally. So a lot of different things we do in that realm, but kind of all encompassing with women's health in
Yeah.
particular.
Okay. So thank you for that, because like you said it and my
Yeah,
brain it went here and then out, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that is. But thank you for that. That
all
sounds
good.
really amazing. That sounds awesome. And it's kind
Yeah,
of, I guess it is kind of new because I've literally never heard of it before until
yeah,
just now. Okay. So
yeah,
yeah. So could you share a little bit about your story? Honestly, not a little bit, a lot of it, because I really want to know. So,
yeah.
what is your business? Why did you start it? What does it stand for? All of the things.
Yeah. So I'm a family medicine background trained physician. And during my family medicine training, I got really interested in women's health. And so that's part of where I got all this additional education for restorative reproductive medicine, was knowing I wanted to know more. I wanted to do more than just the standard here, write a prescription, see you later. And so for the first 10 years of my career, I practiced full spectrum family medicine. And a couple years ago, I decided to split off on my own. I was employed by a hospital system, but decided it was time to really go all in on this women's health stuff. And so created my own clinic 2 years ago, and really started off with listening, ad nauseum to every single EntreMD podcast that I could find, just to know, like, how do I do this? Joined the EntreMD Business School and really got the tools I needed in order to start saying, okay, how do I set this up in such a way that not only does what I want it to do, professionally, but also that serves me personally. I have 3 young kids at home. And so a big part of my why was I like them and I liked being around them and I wanted to be around them more. So finding a way that I could balance, not only having this dream business, but also living my dream life at the same time. So,
Mhm.
so started my clinic about 2 years ago. Now we're almost 2 years old, and really focused on how do I serve women in a very, very high capacity, but also how do I collaborate with other women who are also serving women in my community. So
Mhm.
part of the beauty with what we created at Radiant Clinic was really to help women to be empowered, to understand more about their body, their menstrual cycles, to be able to have body literacy, that they could go and talk to other healthcare professionals about what was going on, but also to feel like they didn't need to have us for the rest of their lives, that they could then go out and say, okay, I know what needs to happen next, or what's normal and what's not. And so bringing in all of these other women has also been really, really amazing for our community. Many of them were maybe, working with clients as a health coach or a dietitian, or maybe teaching them how to chart their cycles. But a lot of them came to me and they said, well, I've only seen 2 clients this year. That's not enough to be sustainable. And so by bringing them into a structure where we're like, look, we're all working together to have kind of the same mission and vision towards empowering and lifting up women in body literacy, it's really helped all of us to say, okay, how can we all work with each other, but also how can we serve our community in this big, beautiful way? So it was not an intended consequence. It wasn't part of my planning when I made the business, but very quickly it became apparent that that was going to be a big part of what we did. So
Mhm.
we currently serve clients in person in our Cedar Rapids, Iowa clinic, but we also do telehealth all across the country. So I have medical licenses in 12 other states as well. and so have clients from all over creation that we see.
That's good. Question. Does it take a lot to get a medical license? Like, do you have to keep going? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it kind of depends. To get the initial medical license, it's typically pretty straightforward, but we do have something called the Interstate Medical License Compact. And so in many states, you can just apply for it, pay the fee, and you have the license within a couple of weeks. So that's been the easiest route for some of them. Some of the states I'm licensed in, like New York and California, you have to go through an entirely separate process. I had to go get
mhm.
fingerprinted again and all of that other fun stuff. So it depends on the state. Some of them are easy and some of them take quite a lot more work.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, so
Yeah.
then my next question is what has becoming an entrepreneur made possible for you? Since you
Mm,
started your clinic and everything.
yeah. The biggest and the most tangible has been really getting back my life as far as my family life, my personal life. I used to just feel like my schedule was whatever they told me that it was, and they being
Mhm.
anybody. And now it has truly been I set my own schedule. If something comes up, I just block it and make it happen, or saying, you know what, I want to take a 2 week vacation and go do XYZ. And nobody gives me a hard time. They say, cool, we'll make it happen. And it just happens. And
It
I
happens.
didn't realize how much I had lost that autonomy, honestly, until I left and started this new business. And so for me, it's really been the ability to say, yes, I don't have to sacrifice who I am and where my priorities and values lie in order to still be a successful business owner, a successful physician. And really that whole idea that we talk about a lot in EntreMD in order to have this dream business, dream life. I mean, that can't be more true.
That's good. Okay, and then so another part, right, is in your, journey to become an entrepreneur, what was the scariest thing that you had to do? Because, there's I think it's a phrase that Dr. Una says, but without, where there is success, there was first fear. So there was that. So like what was the scariest thing that you had to do? And how did you stop that fear from stopping you?
Yeah. The scariest part was leaving my last job. And, I lovingly say this for anybody who works in retail. This is not any offense, but if I work in retail and I quit my job and I'm like, oh, that was a bad mistake, I can probably go find another retail job pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Whereas as a physician, it's a completely different thing. When you leave your job, you are leaving your patients, your staff, you're wrapping up all the things, malpractice insurance. It's not like you can just go back a month later and be like, oh, just kidding. I actually want my job back. And so I
Yeah,
think just that piece of it was so, so, so scary. But for me, there was two main things that kept me going as far as this is how I'm going to get past it. Number one was my faith. I have always, always, always made decisions based on faith, not by my own dumb brain. Because if it left to myself, I would never move forward anywhere. And so, so many times, and this is not an exception, I have literally just stepped out in faith and said, okay, I am trusting that this is the right way.
mhm.
And then the second would be the support that I received through the EntreMD school. So I was lucky enough to find the school before I made that transition. And so really just being able to see and surround myself with people who have been there, done that, and have really been able to just say, yes, cheer me on, go ahead, full steam, has been huge as far as being able to make sure that I am able to have the support I need in that community. And so really faith and community. And those are the pieces that say I can conquer anything and I can get past that fear to get to the other side.
That's good. That's good. And so speaking on community, I know, the EntreMD Business School community is, I've watched you guys, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's really good to be inside of. So, with that transition that you made, how did the community help you? Because I know you mentioned that a little bit.
Yeah. Um, there's been multiple different ways. There's definitely the tangible things, even the simple questions of what bank do you guys use? What's your best EMR? How do I navigate XYZ situation? And a lot of those day-to-day things. But I think more than that has been the inspiration that I see in the business school, seeing the growth that people have, or seeing, being on a call where somebody is talking about, I'm struggling with this, or how would I do this? Listening to how they are coached, and then they come back a month later and they're like, oh, this exceeded my wildest dreams. And just being able to see, oh my goodness, if they did that one little thing, what if I did that one little thing, and plus 5
Mhm.
more, what is that going to look like, right? So just seeing what is possible, because especially as entrepreneurs, we are sometimes in this bubble where people think like, oh, well, we see one example of it, like that must be the only way. But being able to be in this community where there's people doing it all sorts of different ways really just makes you realize like, okay, there are multiple different ways we can get to that same end goal. But it doesn't, and nobody's path is the same, and that's okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be that this is right or that is wrong. And so really just seeking that inspiration from all the people that are so brilliant and loving to share their information with everybody else in the school.
That's amazing. I personally love the community. I like to watch how, they'll be like, Dr. is like, okay, how many minutes do I give you guys? And then everybody be like 10, 15. She'll give you guys 15 minutes. And 15 minutes later, everybody's still in their own thing. And then so Dr. Una has to
Yeah.
go, shh.
Yeah.
But it's
Yes.
like, nobody's ever left behind within that community. Like everybody
Yes.
is talking to everybody, even after the
Yes.
event ends, people are having dinner or going out and doing all of the things. So it's a very
Yes.
positive, strong community to be inside of. So I absolutely love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then so how long have you been inside of the business school?
Yep. So it's going on 2.5 years now.
Oh,
So I
that's
joined,
good.
like I said, about a half year before I started my own practice. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. Okay. So why did I know you talked a little bit about it, but why did you join the business school? Like what was that final push that kicked you in there?
Yeah. So I actually had, when I went and finally decided, like, hey, maybe I'm going to do my own business, I was like, wait a second. I had been at a conference where I heard some woman speak about being a physician entrepreneur. Like, I didn't even remember her name. And so I looked back at my conference notes, found Dr. Una's name. I was like, oh, cool. She has a podcast. Immediately started listening to the podcast. And I think I listened to something insane, like 22 hours of the podcast within a week. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
goodness, this is
wow.
where I need to be.
Yeah.
And literally made a decision, and I told my husband, I said, I don't even care what it costs, like this is where I need to be, this is the right room to be in.
Mhm.
And so really decided, I'm like, I know medicine. I'd been in practice for 10 years at that point in time. I know medicine. I know literally nothing about business, and I
Yeah.
need to be in a room where people have done this and have done this successfully and done it scared. But also just for me, knowing I was going to have the support of that community going forward was huge. I'm like, okay, even if this is not what I want for the first year, it's going to still help me to learn something, or at least to know what I don't know. And I haven't looked back ever since. Every year when it comes time to renew, I'm like, yep, done. Just do your thing, because it's been so helpful to see the growth, watch other people grow, as well as
Mhm.
to say my business would not be where it is today if it were not for that school really pushing me and challenging me. I'd still be in, designing my website or doing something silly, rather than really being able to thrive in the business as I have been.
That's good. Okay. So I want to ask because I know you guys, all of you, in the business school do wins a lot. So I'd like to get into that area a little bit. So since joining the business school, if you're comfortable sharing, what has been the biggest win that you've had, or if not the biggest, your favorite win?
Yeah. My favorite win is that, so I work a lot with clients who are struggling with infertility.
Mhm.
And so we keep track of not only, how many women and couples are we able to help get pregnant, but how many babies are actually born. And like that for me is just, it gives me goosebumps when I think about it sometimes. As my husband always jokes, he's like, well, yeah, we have 3 kids of our own. He's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you brought those 3 kids into the world, but you're literally bringing hundreds of other kids into existence. And for me, that is just amazing, and bringing hope to these couples many times that we're told, like, hey, there's nothing else we can do. Like, sorry, you have to go adopt, or maybe you.
Oh dear. Okay. So we're gonna wait for her to come back in. But while that's happening, I do want to talk about a little bit of our merch pieces for today. So the one we have for today is our There's No Imagination Police Dream Big. And that is something that I encourage everybody to do. The first time I spoke about it, I was saying that there's never going to be, a police officer standing right behind you when you start dreaming big, right? Dreaming big is the goal. Dreaming big is honestly, how you get to where you need to get. For instance, if Dr. Una hadn't dreamed as big as she dreamt, the EntreMD Business School wouldn't be here. The EntreMD Business School wouldn't be here. The podcast wouldn't be here. All of the different, ways that she's impacted other people's lives, it wouldn't have been there. the thing that brought that in was her deciding to dream big. And now, of course, with deciding to dream big, you also have to make sure that those dreams become a reality. So writing it down, breaking it down. What are the steps? How can I make this dream a reality? What are the steps that that I need to take? So you can scan the QR code that is right in front of you, or you can go to entremd.com/merch to get your merch today. But apart from that, I do want to talk about something that I believe, is one of my favorite pieces, just because I think I've been like, living it each and every single time I go live. But it's where we say that, without success, without where there's fear, there was first where there's success, there was first fear. That's how it started. And Dr. Monica's back. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk about it more at the end. So we're gonna continue to hear her story. Welcome back.
So sorry, my phone overheated and shut off.
Oh,
Apologies.
it's okay. It's okay.
So sorry. So sorry. So I think where I cut off, I was just saying, as far as being able to really help women and couples as they're, kind of working through fertility has just been so rewarding. And, to be able to walk with people during that journey is just such a special place to be.
That's good. Okay, and then so what are some of the intangible wins that you've seen?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest ones have been more, again, going back to some of the family situations, right? Being able to, when my grandfather died, I was able to take a full week off and not have to worry about like, oh my gosh, do I actually have PTO? Am I going to have time to make it back for that? Really just setting my own schedule, setting my own agenda. And I think being able to say that gives me more than just that freedom. It gives me really that autonomy back to be like, I am a whole human being who can choose to do what I want to do. And really that is incredibly empowering to be able to just say, okay, this is this is more than just a job. This is a calling that I can still choose to live out and still be myself.
That's amazing. Okay, and then so I do want to ask just a little bit before. I think you had mentioned, if I'm correct, you started your business after joining the school or before joining the school?
Started the business after joining the school, about 6 months
After.
after. Mhm.
About 6 months after. Okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, and then so because, this is kind of what, I'm all about, it's all of the different merch pieces and everything. What has been your favorite piece of merch and why?
Mm. So I really love, I mean, I love all of it. It's hard. Anything about eating frogs, anything about this is, dream business, dream life, getting to those success stories. I think all of it because it's what we hear over and again. And so when we start to say those things, you go, even when we're on our weekly calls, we oftentimes will hear something come up again and again and again. And so just those constant reminders as far as like, oh yeah, that's a Dr. Una-ism, right? Like that's what we're used to hearing. And so sometimes again the untrained mind is an idiot, right? And when we don't keep thinking and seeing and hearing those things, it really can kind of shut things down. So honestly, I love all of them just because it's like, okay, this is what keeps me going, and this was keeps me connected to the school and living those values every day.
That's good. Okay, so now I do want to ask you a little bit about, one of my favorite merch pieces, which is the success and fear hoodie. But it talks about how where there's success, that there was first fear. And I think, you would be able to type kind of lean in into the story. So, what do you think, what do you think it means? What does the phrase itself mean to you?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, there's always going to be something that we're scared about, whether it's leaving
Mhm.
an old job, whether it's do I make this next move, do I, what happens next, and realizing that there's no way to have that success unless you can get past that fear. And
Mhm.
realizing, I mean, one of my favorite things that I heard early on in the podcast was, Dr. Una said, fear, you can be there, but you're going to just show up. You can sit beside me, but it doesn't mean fear has to go away, but it doesn't mean that it has to stop me from moving forward. And I think about that all the time. When fear shows up, when doubt shows up, I'm like, that's cool. You can be here, but you're sitting beside me. You're taking a back seat. You don't get to drive
Mhm.
this bus. And
Yeah.
and realizing that that's the only way that we get to continue moving forward is to get to that point of, I am now feeling like fear is there. That's fine. It doesn't have to be abnormal. It doesn't have to mean I'm doing something wrong, but it is a pathway to get to that success.
That's amazing. I've never thought of it that way. That's really good. I'm gonna try and take that and turn it into a little clip and send it to all of my friends. So if you're comfortable with share, I know you that's kind of been, the big thing with this entire interview. But if you're comfortable with sharing, what is your success and fear story? It doesn't necessarily have to be the where you started the practice. It could be, at another point inside of your practice. But what is that story?
Yeah. So I think for me, one of the big things I always and for entrepreneur, as far as our practice is only about 2 years old, and I still am constantly scared of, is this enough? Am I doing the right things? Is this business going to be sustainable, not just from a financial standpoint, but can I keep going at this pace? Will my
Mhm.
staff still stick around? What if I run out of clients? And so there's, those fears are there all the time. They show up in different ways at different times. But I constantly still hear, my business school classmates, Dr. Una, in my head. It's okay. Fear's going to be there. We're going to just keep moving forward. And one of the other phrases we say often in the school is, it's always working, meaning, we may not know and we may not see what's going on a day-to-day basis, but what we're doing is making a difference. It is making a change. And we're able to see those, sometimes not in the day-to-day, but in the long run. And that's where we say it's always working. So I think that's the thing, is there's always fear. It's not like, oh, cool, well, I crossed that hurdle, like everything's going to be smooth sailing from here. It's like, nope, every day, every day there still is something that shows up. But again, you can't let that stop you, right? Because if it stops me, then the business goes away. And that's not what I'm wanting to happen
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then so let's see, what advice would you have to give to someone who's struggling with the idea of joining the business school? They have that
Yeah.
fear of, I don't know whether or not this school is good enough for me, or I need my business to be at a certain point before I join it. What do you have to say
Yeah.
to someone like that?
Yeah. I was actually more afraid that I wasn't going to be enough for the people in the school. Right. And so,
Mhm.
I knew that there would be great value in it, but I was like, well, what do I have to offer? Like, I'm just going to show up here and, like, hopefully what I have to offer is enough. And what I would say, as somebody who self-identifies as an introvert, as somebody who feels like I know nothing when it comes to business, there is absolutely a place for everyone. And everybody in the school has made me feel so welcome. Multiple people have, given me personal cell phone numbers. Here, call me with any question. And I have, and they respond. I mean, it is just this welcoming community where, I think so often we're used to this competition that has happened throughout medical school and residency, that we're like, oh, you mean there's physicians who want to collaborate and help you? Like, and that's where we're all hanging out, is, in a school like this, where we're like, look, we all are looking for how we can uplift each other. So
Mhm.
I think, getting beyond that fear of, am I enough? Is this the right fit? Absolutely. I can say unequivocally, we have people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, and every single person is loved and cherished and welcomed in the group. And that is just without saying.
It's good. Okay, and then so if you have, any extra questions about the business school, you want to be able to, like connect call or something, so you can find out more information. You can type EBS inside of the group chat, and the team is going to reach out to you. So back to you, Dr. Monica. My last question, it's actually not my last, because I have a bonus question. I just came up with one. But where can people find you? They want to get to know more about you. Where can they find you?
Yeah. So radiantclinic.com. And from there, we have lots of different information about our services, what we do. You can book a discovery call with my team to find out if our services are right for you. And then I also have a podcast. It's called Cycle Wisdom. And so for a lot of people, that's where they start, is they're like, hey, do you have do you solve this concern or this problem that I have? And you can go and find an episode there that says, hey, this is how we would address that. So those are probably the two best places.
Okay. And then for my bonus question, I think I'm going to make this a bonus question at the end of every interview I do. But is there anything, that you wish, I'm 17, so you wish 17-year-old you knew that you would like to tell me that, that I can apply to my life and even tell my friends and have them do it as well?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is that when I was 17, I thought my path was this, and it was just very mapped out. It was this very straight shot. I was going to do this, then this, then this, then this. And what I found out is that life has a funny way of saying, like, no, you're going to maybe still end up somewhere over here, but you're going to go like this instead in order to get
Mhm.
there. And I remember being really frustrated with that. I'm very much a planner. Like, I should go from point A to point B. And realizing that I spent a lot of time just being really anxious and worried about where am I going to be, rather than saying, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this journey. There is a reason for it. Because looking backwards, I now go, oh, that had to happen because of this thing, which then sent me
Mhm.
to this direction, which then made me do this thing instead. Otherwise, I would have never met my husband. I would have never been at this residency program. I would have never even found out about restorative reproductive medicine had it not been for all the ping ponging around. So I think just enjoying the journey, it's not to say don't plan anything, but it's also to say it doesn't have to mean that it's all angst and fraught with, like, oh my gosh, what's happening next? Is there can be so much worry. And the reality is every single piece is happening for a reason.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I will be taking that. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna write it on a sticky note and stick it on my wall right in front of my mirror so I see it every single day.
Perfect.
But yeah,
Perfect.
so thank you so much. If there's anything I want everybody to take away just from the merch piece that we did, is that it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary before you do it. It's gonna be scary while you're doing it. It's gonna stay scary, but put fear in the back seat. That's where it belongs, in the back seat. It can watch you, and you're still going to do exactly what you need to do. But Dr. Monica, thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed interviewing you. I hope you had fun.
Yes, thank you. And apologies for my phone being silly in the midst.
It's
I'm so
okay. It's
sorry.
okay. It happens. It happens to people. Don't worry. The one of the first lives I did, I was muted the entire time, so I had to restart. So we're okay. But thank you so much.
We're all learning.
I enjoyed interviewing you. And for everyone else, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. And